Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host Sri Iyer. Today we are going to talk about the killing of Rahul Bhatt and some other events that are happening in Jammu and Kashmir. Is this the croak of a dying frog, or are these people doing things in concert? And if so, what is the Indian government doing about it? There are many questions that come to my mind. I thought the best person to try and explain what is happening is perhaps Sri RVS Mani, who has had a long and distinguished career in the Home Ministry of India. And let us hear from Sri Mani on how he sees this situation. For example, I'll come to some specifics in a bit. Let's just welcome Mr. Mani for now. Mani, namaskaram, sir, and welcome to PGurus channel.
Thank you very much. Namaskaram.
So my first question, sir, is there is a program that is wrapping up right now. Dr. Subramanian Swamy is talking about Hindus under siege again. And he said something very, very damaging. He said that the J&K police may have known ahead of time what was going to happen to Rahul Bhatt, because there are too many unanswered questions, and that the Modi government seems to do some lip service here and there about dismissing people. But I haven't seen any police personnel being dismissed for anti-national activities. And it's a well-known fact, sir, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the administration as well as the police was hand in glove with the separatists.
I will take it one step further. You can cross-verify from many of the experts, including Mr. S.P. Vaid, former DGP. We have been on panels together. For a long period of time, Masood Azhar's telephone used to be used for getting a job in the administrative echelons of the Kashmir Administrative Service. This is a fact, this is a confirmed fact. So, Modi and government had we seized of the situation. They have sacked around 30 to 40%, I will not lie about it. But how much can they sack? They cannot simply disrupt the entire administration. At the same time, they have had 3 years of tenure of civil. Having been seized of the VAT, a slow momentum could have been built for replacement of those. Instead of simply sending them home, creating a dissatisfied, disaffected crowd there, at the same time not filling up with the relevant posts and all that. And even now, more than 50%, whatever is left of that 40, after removal of that 40% dismissed. Even after Rahul Bhatt incident also, 3 persons were again dismissed, including a policeman. That doesn't take away the fact that it is infested with Pakistani sympathizers, it is infested with terrorist sympathizers. And excepting for those who were given jobs as a bounty or as a gift to keep quiet under the 2010 Prime Minister's package program, and who have been held hostage, and that is the only presence of Hindu in the valley. All others, we can say without any doubt, are somewhere or the other impacted, have links with the Pakistani handlers. Maybe one of their children or maybe few of their family members are recruited as militant Pakistanis. These are all realities of Kashmir. So this 3 years, some sort of a building should have been done. Not just in the secretariat or administrative echelons, other sides of ecosystem. See, if you remember, a restaurateur, a very celebrated old restaurateur was killed. A Hindu restaurateur was killed a few months back. Many of the people, what was promised after 370 was that the migrant population, internally disturbed, they were called as internally displaced population, will be able to get and reclaim their land. Not a single parcel of land has been given back to them. And when somebody tried to he had his papers, and the reply given was absolutely absurd by the administration. So these are all the realities of Kashmir. Nothing has happened. excepting for those who are already working in the secretariat after the 2010 plan. And they are working in the sort of a enemy territory. All their colleagues have some linkage, all their non-Hindu colleagues or the local Kashmiri Muslims do have linkages through several sources. I will tell about a particular terrorist who is languishing, who is somewhere taken refuge in Lahore, a wanted terrorist. He comes from a clan of one of his clansmen is an IAS officer who had served at the Home Ministry, who had served in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, and later he was with Satyapal Malik or even with somebody, he was appointed as advisor to governor. I am not taking any names here, but these are all reality of the Kashmir. Kashmir needs a much better solution. There is another very disturbing fact which has come out. You want to let us take it ahead? You want any questions?
The only question I have is, or actually a suggestion for our viewers, whatever Maniji has said, you can Google and find out the name of the specific individual. We don't want to give any more publicity to this individual than what already has been given. The mindset is wrong. The mindset is plain wrong. So, Mr. Mani, go ahead and explain, sir. I have some questions. After your initial portion, perhaps I can ask you those questions.
And there is a huge lobby, which is, see, basically what happened is, as they say, in 1999, when Vajpayee became the Prime Minister, the crowd in the RSS Shaka started growing. But all of them vanished after 2004. Same thing happened in 2014 also. The irony of fate is, these turncoats always have the ear of the government and the loyal ones do not have it. That is the reality of the situation. This is point number one. There are people, say, I have offered my services, I am also a lawyer, I am registered with Delhi Bar Council. I said, if anybody has a, let us start reclaiming your property, get the papers. At least 2 or 3 India for Kashmir members, I have phoned them. 𝙒𝙬𝘂𝘀𝘀 is doing, he did a wonderful job of greater Kashmir diaspora and all that, global Kashmir diaspora. 𝙒𝙬𝘂𝘀𝘀 is actually, he was not well, but he had assigned some people to connect with me. None of them have so far connected with me. That's a different matter. Those who have lost their property, which was later on regularized under the Roshni Act, which has again been annulled, should be able to get their property, their ancestors' property, which was held by their ancestors' title before 1990 when they had to abandon, excepting in few cases where under sheer blackmail and death threats, some people have signed off the property to some terrorist militant groups. Other than that, many of the properties, those revenue records can be dug out from the archives. For that, one person only has applied and he was not denied any information. He was given a very routine, very deprivating reply to that. Other than that, I have not come across. So I said, you make it an issue. Get back to your property, even if your house has been demolished and somebody else has declared, you demolish the house and reconstruct it as per your requirement, your suitability. Baramulla properties have been asserted. In Patan, I have seen personally, you can make out that it was once a Hindu property. Basically, even in the Kashmir Files film, Kashmir File films contains 100% truth, but that is only 10% of the truth. That is only doing only the downtown Srinagar, Haba Kadal and all those, Rainavari and all those areas. Anantnag. We are all celebrating that on a Bhanu Saptami, Surya Puja was constructed, and that is a gate of, that is taking you down the garden path. Ultimately, what has been obtained? Have they been able to even not single Has one single piece of property of a survivor who had held the property on January 1990 been given back to him in shares, in whatever Hindu Succession Act, in whatever part? Nobody can count this. Now, killings are happening. Rahul Bhatt killings was, anytime it was waiting to happen. Few months back, some 2 Sikhs were selected from a school teachers and they were picked up and killed. Non-Muslims will be killed. That is their agenda, and that type of attitude they have still not. They have been so much mentally indoctrinated by the family member who might have taken training in the Pakistani terror camps. So much of hatred has been filled in. They are still not loyal to their own colleagues. They are loyal to militant group. Out of pressure, I do not know. Out of love for them, out of conviction or pressure, out of inducement, whatever is the reason. And that is one of the basic reasons behind Rahul Bhatt's killing. Let us not forget that.
One question, Mr. Mani. You said that following the Rahul Bhatt incident, 3 people have been dismissed. One of them is a policeman. I am coming to know of this only from you. Why has the government not made a press release saying that these were identified to be the perpetrators? This is how they allowed this to happen, and therefore they are being dismissed, and that there will be government action taken on them, whatever be the appropriate sections in terms of anti-national activity. Why has the government not come out and said that?
No. I'll tell you one thing. Rahul Bhatt's killing, even the information which has been, one is a professor of a university, none of the papers, I also do not know whether it was linked to Rahul Bhatt's killing or not. Rahul Bhatt is killed, 3 people are dismissed. How they are connected is still not clear. It is presumably because the killers, the militants who killed Rahul Bhatt are, again, as per the claims of the government, have been liquidated. That doesn't serve the purpose. Tomorrow, 3 more will come from Pakistan. From their own brethren, they will be sent to Pakistan. From their own families, they will be sent to Pakistan. It is nothing short of a betrayal. 370 has happened. 370, to give full effect to 370. Did the government call the Kashmiri, internally displaced Kashmiris, living in Jammu, living in other parts of the country, other parts of the world, having migrated? Was there any effort that kindly bring your property details, we will see what we can do? If it can be ready, I don't say restore it. You collect the data and information and cross-verify with the revenue details. Revenue files must have existed even in 2000, before 1999. Otherwise, there will be a J&K archives. From there, the land allotment could be dug out. There are so many ways of doing it. There are, if there is a will, there is a way. And give back the land. Give back. You say, I will not give you about anything. If you want to demolish and all, I do not know. But I am giving you the title of the land on which this building stands. What you do with that is your problem. Has there been a single? I will tell you, not only that. They are asking all sorts of provisions. 10 advisors to government and this and that, development program and all that. Was there a single officer, OSD, dedicated to giving rehabilitation to the internally displaced Kashmiri Pandits after 1990? Exclusive domain. His job is only to do what I am saying. If the records are not available, you please say so. But go back to the archival records. You will find quite a few of them. And there are lobbyists. They are very big people working out, shouting from the rooftops, daily coming on TV channels and this and that and all that. How many of them have flagged this issue, including those who belong to Kashmir? They are all going for marketing the Kashmir files and some people there is a cross, somebody is attacking X and Y and Z and all that. But basic issues of nuts and bolts have not been addressed by them. How many of these major Kashmiri leaders who claim themselves, whether it is 𝗣𝗚𝘂𝗍𝙬, former deputy CM of J&K, Nirmal Singh, or even Ravindra Raina, they are all from the BJP. Don't they know that many of our people have lost their properties there? Forget about the BJP. There are certain lobbyists who have been co-panelists with me, with whom I have worked. How many of them have even taken up the cost of restoring the titles back to of the land which were robbed of them in 1990s and thereafter? This is a very, very fundamental question. Only then you can go and resettle there. Only then, and if one or two people or a few people going for crumbs offered by the government are going to be as vulnerable as Rahul Bhatt or the restaurateur who was killed or the two Sikh teachers who were pulled out and killed, or including the Goa Chronicles correspondents' relatives were attacked. These are all matters of fact. I am not cooking up. You require, if at least restore the original demography back as of 1990. Many people might have done very well in life. Many of them I know have done very well in life. They may not like to return to Kashmir. Certainly, but that entitlement of property is there. Property's right can be asserted by government takeover, not by terrorist takeover. You cannot, because militants have run riot on this. They lost their property to militants. They lost their property. So has anything like that? Nothing has happened. Tell me one person, you show me one Kashmiri Pandit living in Delhi, living in Mumbai, living in Pune, living in XYZ, living outside the country. One person in the Kashmiri Pandit who had to abandon everything in 1990 and now has got his property or land title back. Let us say even Mr. Sushil Pandit or Lalit Ambarda or anybody else, etc. Have they got their, even Anupam Kher, so many people are there. Have any of them got their parents must have left a lot of property. I know, I've seen a house in Patan, I have seen a house in Dalina, in Baramulla also. There are houses which clearly shows that there are certain footprints left still, clearly showing that it was once a Hindu property. And now not in their hands. Some Urdu threatened letters are always written there. Have they been? Can't they go back? Or at least collect the data. You compile a data, how many properties. Even that I don't think, I have not come across any person who has received a letter saying that your father was a resident of Rainavari, so and so, so and so. Kindly, if he is alive, otherwise get the succession certificates and take title of the property. So many, say it for 32 years, you say pay the ground rent, which is very a property tax. Many may be still willing to take. You let the government realize all the dues, taxes and revenues and ground rent and all that. It has not happened. If the mutations have to happen, that can also be done on the basis of the succession. This is something which is missing. In 2010, some people were handpicked and posted in different collectorates and of districts to work in the Tehsildar's office or Deputy Commissioner's office. Rahul Bhatt was one of them, surrounded by all non-Hindu, all his Muslim colleagues. And the situation is a little different here. Please.
Just a small request for all our viewers. can you please like this program? Our response on this is much less than what I expected. And we are working through some challenges. You know that we went offline for a few days. I don't know if because of that we're being penalized by YouTube for what we think it's not our fault, but whatever it is, we have to live with the constraints that we have. So if you could please like this program and let us get the like count right up there. Hopefully more people will join and this message will spread far and wide, because there is a very important section that we are going to touch upon in the next few minutes, and I want as many people listening in as possible. So, Mr. Mani, um, before we go to the second part, which is the Shah Faesal character, that is second part, but I want to kind of park this at a nice place. What are the tools that the government has? Now, they have not done anything. They are probably going to say, look, we don't know who to trust, and we don't know what to do. But Dr. Swami had given a suggestion. He said, since 5 lakh Kashmiri Pandits were pushed out, resettle 10 lakh ex-servicemen there, give them special benefits, make them set up houses there, 5 years, 10 years. And since they are armed and they know how to deal with arms, they can protect themselves well. Has this particular option been explored by the current government?
I do not, I have no information on that. Had it been explored, maybe some visible or visible or intelligible signs would have been shown. It has not happened. It has not happened.
So, because you can't ask all these pandits to pick up arms and start learning to defend themselves. Poor guys are not built for that.
They are basically, that Pandit community is a white collar community.
Yes.
They're basically a white collar community. They would be, if you see, they would like to be a teacher or a professor or a government officer or a doctor or an engineer or a chartered accountant and lawyer and all that. In fact, in law, I was trained by a Kashmiri Pandit. So my professor was a very important Kashmiri Pandit. He went on to. So there are many. That is the profession they are in. You don't ask them to become plumbers and turners or take up arms and start shooting fighting the militants. They prefer white collar job. That is the way they have. That is the way they have been brought up. That is a family culture. Now, how can this? But the question is, I do not want even if the Faujis are settled there, ex-servicemen are settled there. See, basically, there are other issues will come. Issue of arms licenses. And number two, you have to connect one more thing yesterday. When the entire focus was on killing of Rahul Bhatt and the protest thereafter, which was not very capably handled by the LG office. There was another terror attack, which the mainstream media said bus in a Vaishnava Devi pilgrim bus. But ultimately it has come out that it was a terror attack by 𝙒𝙤𝙤𝙤𝘀. And not only that, a threat letter is going around, a proper threat, 𝙒𝙤𝙤𝘀 or something like that, that they will kill all non-Muslims. Openly it is going there, all around the Twitter. I was very disturbed. Maybe you might have also received it or
something. I have seen it, Mr. Mani. But one clarification, sir, before we continue on. Somebody said that the 3 officers that you mentioned were fired happened even before the Rahul Bhatt killing.
Okay, maybe. I said it is not connected to it.
Okay.
Not only these 3 officers, around 30 to 40% of the officers with links with militants have already been removed. But you cannot disrupt the administration like that. Please also ensure reinforcement. You can, what Dr. Swami said and what I am saying, if you, combination of that is, ex-servicemen may be recruited under rehabilitation, DG rehabilitation of Indian Army, Indian Defence, Ministry of Defence Ex-Servicemen Welfare Board, for a 5-year or a 7-year tenure to serve in Kashmir with additional pension plus proper recruit, because many of them they take discharge at the age of 45, 50 and all. Let them be deployed there in the secretariat positions, civilian positions. You will, so both the purposes will be served, so that this militancy loyal employees are slowly and gradually eased out in a 2-year period or a 1-year period. And naturally, when their numbers start dwindling, they will also get demotivated. They will know the risk of aligning with a militant. So they will either stop being loyal to a militant, or they will automatically find their way out. And these ex-servicemen should be brought back. They should be brought back and asked to man the positions. Similarly, go for, very interesting thing is, go for proper recruitments also, fast-track recruitment. Nowadays in the group, below the group A post, no interviews are held, only examinations are held. Go openly for examinations. That is the latest national testing agency is there. You go for examination, deploy as many as possible, so that the militant related people, for every militant related people, if you are going to give a lead time of 8 months to 10 months to find a replacement through recruitment, you are in a severe trouble. You are going to disturb the administration. Don't do that. I say you take ex-servicemen, deploy them. CRPF, BSF people who are interested in, after taking discharge from their security duties, who are interested in civilian life, please deploy them. Give them a special offer. These are all very constructive provision. It is not something which cannot happen. It can happen, because Baramulla or Anantnag or Pahalgam or Sonmarg, not many will be willing to go. So at least those collectorates, their civil administration also, these services can be deployed. I'm sure somebody must be listening to it, because that particular people who were recruited on the basis of a telephone call from Masood Azhar, they should be removed. They will continue to be loyal to them. MBBS seats Pakistan MBBS seats were on auction. See, everything which should not happen have happened in Kashmir. In the last 30, till the abrogation of 370. Pakistan seats have been sold, MBBS seats. Then drafted back, I don't know how, what way, wherever. And cross-border should be very strongly regulated. You have a cross-border stand, you should have a proper land court authority at the border. Before crossing from say, this place, Srinagar to Muzaffarabad, 10 places you put in a picket, you put in a proper customs, you put in a proper security. Lot of intelligence is there, because cross-border thing is only drugs are brought into India, which funds the militancy again. Arms are brought into India. Over-invoicing, money laundering, all sorts of things come. Indian money, so that is the way cross-border, Srinagar, Muzaffarabad, as well as Jammu, Rawalkot. Both the Jammu, Rawalkot, I don't think whether it is operational now. So, and also, you are raiding all the people. Let us raid the two major families of Srinagar. At least they have to fulfill if the ED raids the complete end-to-end and seeks an account, 1 year of Kashmir budget will come out from that. Under 370 garb, tons and tons and tons of money have been. I had shared it long time back. I had shared it with people and all. 2017 raid NIA did happen. Even now NIA raids are happened, but somehow 21 separatist leaders have been exposed. But two major families still hold so much of thing. Let them be put to account. What is stopping the government? These two families, let them be put to account. Maybe for 1 year you don't require a budgetary support for Kashmir. Like that, there are many factors. So that is what is very important, and lot of invisible hands are operating in Kashmir. For the best way is, in the secretariat, in the administration, there are a lot of invisible hands. That is the reason few months back, 2 Sikh teachers were killed. Their religion was asked and they were shot. Now Rahul Bhatt has happened. A hotelier has been killed. The Hindu hotelier in Srinagar. It's a selective killing is happening, ethnic cleansing. So that needs to stop. 370 has been removed on paper. Let us put it, 3 years have passed. Let us now come back to brass tracks. Restore the title of the property wherever eligible, found eligible. Let us get into the pre-90 revenue records. They will be there somewhere in Jammu or Darbar Move or somewhere. Let us go into 1990, pre-1990 revenue record and simply say, I pass an ordinance or whatever it is, that will be the real revenue records, subject to payment of the dues, annual rent or ground rent or property taxes and all. Still, the land will go back to the KPs. They were holding a lot of land. I have seen it. I have seen the KPs houses into huge mansions which have been occupied by Muslim militants. So there are many steps which need to be taken, and that is the need of the hour. As Dr. Swami said, settle the ex-servicemen. Whomsoever is eligible, whomsoever is less than 50, or whomsoever has taken discharge from the Indian Army, for whatever reason, offer him a job in this secretariat in the Kashmir Administrative Service of appropriate level to man the position, so that the militant loyal group goes out. Is it not a viable solution? So it takes into account Dr. Swami's proposal also. You are using the prowess of the Indian security forces who have served in the place, using their experiences, and you are also finding personnel to man your position in replacement of militant royal personnel who have been appointed earlier. So it solves a lot of problem. Anything else?
So it just boggles my mind, Mr. Mani, that over 70 years, you are a Kashmiri Pandit for a Prime Minister. His kitchen cabinet was full of Kashmiri Pandits. Haksar, Dhar, Fotedar, and cowboys, R and cow. Cowl. How many cowls we've had? So all these Nimrods didn't think that their land is being stolen in plain sight. What did they do for the 60, 70 years when they were in power, sir?
They were making money. I would rather, without unashamedly, say that. See, I have already said on several occasions, Article 370 was a ruse to make money by select families of Kashmir. It was as simple as that. For 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤 water, they used to fly in Indian Airlines planes, saying that it has got medicinal properties. Other than that, how much? You had a foreign secretary called 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤, you got, as you said, so many of them have been there in the kitchen cabinet. They had something like that. It is not my problem. I have a house in Vasant Vihar. I'm not going back to Kashmir. So what happens if the people back there wait? Even now, that syndrome is still present there. Now, for example, the property title issue. Has anybody, not a single person has raised this, whomsoever is speaking for the Kashmiri Pandits? Rohit Kachru is a friend of mine. He looks upon to me for guidance. So I have told him to popularize this. I have some people who come to me for ideas and all that. One lady Mattu is there, and some Razdan or some Kaul or somebody like that. Apart from that, my wife's colleagues also sometimes come to me, because one of the wife colleagues is a kinsman of, she's a clans person of the lady whose husband, who was made to eat the husband's rice cooked in her husband's blood, as shown in the, it happened. So I know those cases, the tikku or whatever it is. So those people sometimes say, I said, I will make out a draft application for you, find out the Kasra number, some address, something like that. 32 years back, my grandfather had the title and all. I said, it will all come through Indian Succession Act. You see, it will not go because there is no claimant. And it's even otherwise, government of J&K has not acquired your property. Government of J&K has a right to acquire your property, but it cannot be usurped by a militant, which was thought to be regularized by a Roshni Act, which again has been annulled now. So these people also have to join. It is an open offer to me, all my Kashmiri Pandit friends. They can come to me, we will work out a way. First, you get your, all other things will go parallelly, concurrently. But try to get your property back, that will give you a sense, instill some sort of a confidence in you. That yes, I can go. Now the government is giving all sorts of empty words saying that you come and live here, this and all, we are making it pay. You don't have to go and live there. Even if the government is promoting tourism, make your home a resort house. Do something so that tourist bungalows can come up there. So many ways of income are generating work. So gradually you can go ahead. But something has to be done. Otherwise, the Chinks are not going to help. The leaders of the Pandit community should also mobilize themselves and come to advise their followers like this in this matter.
Sir, let's now move on to the next topic, which is Mr. Shah Faesal. The news that is coming through the grapevine is that his letter of resignation was never officially accepted. So somebody somewhere held it back, and they are trying to make it as if it was a leave of absence. Forget about all the vile, bile venom that he spewed. The rascal has gone to Turkey. He has been to Pakistan. I don't know. You can add more.
No. He was stopped from going to Turkey. He was stopped at the airport.
Okay.
I do not know. There might have been another trip, we do not know.
You can cross. See, it's a loose, porous border, sir. You can always go to Pakistan and then go from there. Who's going to stop you?
Yeah, Mehbooba has gone there on 12th August 2008. I have already spoken about it on several places. In the Amarnath Yatra, after that there was a Jammu blockade. She took her, walked over to Muzaffarabad. That's a different matter. Turkey, he was stopped from going to Turkey. He has spewed venom. He has called India a rapistan. He has called India a rapistan, which is a matter of record. So who is mollycoddling this gentleman? How? And if it was not accepted, then the case of abandoning the duty post should have been charged against him, not retaking him back. Why was it not accepted? Who held it back? Was he relieved of his post? If he was not relieved of his post, under what authority did he leave and go? Started a political party which is against the All India Services Discipline and Appeal rules, conduct rules or whatever it is, which is again a violation of that. So he will face more charges. The irony of this country is, what he did was real sedition. But by the time the Supreme Court has given clemency to all seditious people chanting Hanuman Chalisa or protesting against demolition of a Shivalinga, 307-year-old Shiva temple, they are all being slapped with sedition. And for that wrong use of sedition law, Supreme Court had to intervene and say, I am putting a sedition law. Government is coming out and saying that. This is a fit case of sedition. Where was he going? He was going to complain against, as per his own statement, I am not saying anything. He was going to complain against India in the International Court of Justice. Whether they have the jurisdiction, whether it is legally tenable, that's a question of what, but he made this statement publicly. So under what rule, if his resignation was not accepted, he should have been charge sheeted and dismissed. Under 311(2).
Yeah, so let's now start taking some questions, Mr. Mani, because we are well into our program and we have 4 or 5 questions. Let's start with Mr. Arjun. He says, current fiasco companies of clash between 𝗤𝙗𝙤𝙤𝙤 deep state versus Amit Shah. Is Congress Islamo deep state taking advantage? Is there corruption by the PMO Jitendra Singh?
I do not know about any deep state. Deep state does exist. I do not know about any clash between the Doval-Dulad thing and all that. Let me assure you, even now, in spite of all this, A.B. Doval is a very, very excellent officer, highly rated professional. Please keep the politicians out of Kashmir. I would rather say A.B. Doval. See, you have to see Rahul Bhatt killing in another context also. The Kashmir files was a huge success in spite of several maligning attempts. Singapore banning it, people supporting former Minister of State for External Affairs supporting the Singapore ban, and notwithstanding the fact that it's the Indian film which has been banned.
You're talking about the former External Affairs Minister who is alleged to have murdered his own wife?
Alleged to whatever, whether he murdered his wife or not, but the person killed was a Kashmiri Pandit.
Yes, that too, correct.
One is person killed was a Kashmiri Pandit. What appeared in the newspaper was a Pakistani journalist.
And our media considered it worthy of publishing this person spewing nonsense and bile. That too in this far-flung, highfalutin Queen's English.
Right. That's the reason. The person involved, whatever it is, and that Pakistani journalist has never been seen after the death of the wife of the Kashmiri Pandit's wife.
I thought
Have you ever heard of that?
No, sir, 1 second. I thought I saw one instance of the said journalist being found with another colleague of the said accused wife murderer in, I think, some Middle East country, and the said wife accused murderer was ranting about that.
Okay, that's the way it is. If that is a thing, that is something new to me. But I'm just telling you about this.
I got to tell you one thing, sir. Every time I see this person in public, he's got a new lady on his arm. All I can say is Indian women are extremely brave. They're extremely brave. That's all I can say.
Yeah, maybe. They are brave or opportunist or whatever it is, I cannot comment on that. But the question is again, A.B. Doval is attacking the Dawood linkages. A lot of Dawood companies are being raided at his, there's a NIA. A person who had worked through in the critical years in the Maharashtra police, an IPS officer, has been brought in as ADG, Additional Director General in the NIA. He had worked on organized crime syndicates. Okay. Kashmiri files is again happening. At the same time, this gentleman is brought in back. I don't know. You are talking about a clash of interest or that. Each side is trying to assert ourselves. Under the same nose of A.B. Doval, this fellow is supposed to have been appointed National Security Council, as per the last news we heard. Because 8 years of service, only 10 to 12 years of service you require before you come to Central on a deputation. So I think 2009 batch he must have completed it, excepting if you discount the 3 years he had lost. Whether he qualifies for that, I do not know. There are so many other factors about the central staffing scheme which we need to refresh myself. I don't know, maybe they have changed the rules. Having said that, Dawood gang, the Bollywood connection is already there, and they last 6 months some major Bollywood films are also being re-audited, re-examined and re-audited, their profit and their revenue models. So these are all things happening. At this time, a very, very interesting thing happened that a civilian Pandit employee is very categorically killed from his office. So it is all, see, basically the Gangotri of all this, Ganga is the next country. But at the same time, today I read that an anti-terrorism conference is going to be held in India, and Pakistan has been invited to that, which annuls all our so much statement, including by the brave first secretary in the Indian commission to Indian permanent mission to UN, where she said that Pakistan is a terrorist state. If you are going to invite a representative of Terroristan to participate in a terror conference, it is like inviting China to, or Wuhan lab chief to come and participate in an anti-COVID drive. That is the way it is. I was reading in the social media, I don't know how far it is true.
Oh, there are pictures of them crossing into India also. They're walking in. The big show. I find this thing very questionable. Why this government, which is supposed to be having a thumping majority in Lok Sabha, which has got the mandate of the people of India, continues to do these kinds of questionable things. I have no idea. This government won't tell us, and they believe that they can tell only what they want to tell, and we have to supposed to just take that thing and then start saying, oh, what great a person you are. That's how I see it, sir.
I agree with you. This needs to be deeper, probe further deeper, because at one time you have a Dawood group being attacked by the central agencies in Mumbai, Maharashtra, and all that. To the epitome of organized gang, the person who has had it written a paper on that, he would have got a PhD for that. An organized crime syndicate, he is being appointed as additional DG NIA. Very fantastic decision. I fully support that decision. Then why soft pedaling in Kashmir? Why don't you bring in a person like Lieutenant General retired 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤 or a Major General 𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤 who have excellent insight into Kashmir, or somebody like that as LG? Why do you bring in a politician? And not only that, what happened yesterday was absolutely preposterous. They have locked the colony of the employees where these Kashmiri Pandits are waiting, and they are not allowed to come out, so that to stop the protest. That is something beyond. I'm not able to imagine how it can do it. It can be done. So is this the way you are want to treat your Kashmiri Pandit? I do not know. See, on their part, they have not taken their initiative, is a different matter. But those who are living there are also living hell. At least make that position. So if you have a political LG, you are going to have this. Whenever Murmu was a first LG of Kashmir, lot of things did happen, started moving in the right place. But some people did not like it. So he was made another constitutional position, ensured that a politician comes here. And that is the biggest mistake. At least for 6 years, no politician should be allowed to become the LG of Kashmir. Because politicians, and irrespective of their party affiliations, are not going to work in national interest. They cannot see, as they call it in Sanskrit, aham mam, me and myself, my family, my children. So Kashmir problem needs a selfless and a dedicated person, an ex-serviceman. We have a lot of lieutenant generals, we have rear admirals who can really fill in the post. And also don't encourage these type of people who have made nasty remarks against India, who has also dabbled in politics, formed his own party. How was he under? If it was not accepted, why did he go off? How was he allowed to go? If your resignation is not taken back, accepted at that time, how was he allowed to go? Why was he not arrested? when he was making all sorts of statements.
Next question, sir.
Has he been charge sheeted for that? Trying to fly out of country without permission of the government, because his resignation has not been accepted. Please.
Sir, this is classic. Show me the face, I will show you the rule that the Babus apply. I'm sorry, you are also a Babu at one point of time. There is this show me the face, I'll show you the rule kind of thing, where somewhere somebody decided that I'm not going to come up with this thing, I'm going to hide it. Sir, you just said that Murmu was doing a good job. What was the need to change him and bring in Manoj Sinha? Why can't the government communicate? Mr. Murmu did these good things, and these were the things where some work needed to be done. Therefore, we brought in Mr. Manoj Sinha, who is expected to take care of all these things and this. Right now, there is nothing. And I don't want to be just, dealing with hypotheticals here. I'd like to know what exactly is going on.
Let us make it very clear. Murmu was a Gujarat cadre officer. Generally, you can find the officers of Gujarat cadre are more development oriented, and that is what he was doing. But some lobby wanted to have, I don't know, I cannot allege anything, was not very happy about his rapid development. So he was shifted and brought in as a CIG, C&AG, and they wanted a politician. And once the politician goes, everything is good. See, Ladakh, there is no problem. R.K. Mathur, he is a former defense secretary, he is doing very well. Ladakh is, see, they are in fact happy. Considering the local MP is very happy that they have detached themselves from Kashmir, because they used to get 3 to 5% of the total plan allocation to Ladakh. They are happy, but why Kashmir, all sorts of brokers, middlemen, everybody is sitting there. So even if 100 Kashmiris apply to get their title blocked, you will find Delhi will be filled with 10 brokers who will try for a fees, help them to get the property title and also get alienated so that they can do something about it. I am sure about it, but this is how it is working. Shah Faesal also, we do not know his political linkage. I am still not convinced of his loyalties. I have given an interview on this, the DNA paper. What was he doing, trying to fly? Because I'll tell you one thing, there was a case of 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙪𝙥𝙥, where he was, those days, Dubai, people who travel into Pakistan clandestinely will go to Dubai, get a room booked in their place, take a different set of travel papers and go to Karachi or whatever it is and do their business and come back. But with the Pradhan Mantri's good foreign policy, UAE government has stopped helping them. Kudos to the Honorable Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister that most of the Gulf countries do not touch these type of activities anymore. Lot of good things have happened. But Turkey, Erdogan's government is now helping them, replace them. Turkey, Ankara, Istanbul is the place, it is en route to Pakistan if you want to stand covertly, or it is also en route to Syria. And this gentleman was caught doing that. Was he going to Syria, if not Pakistan? It is also the en route to Syria. Most of the ISIS recruits go from there.
Yes, yes. Sir, Mr. Mani, we are running out of time. Let's take the next question. We have a couple more questions left. Jahangir Gotla wants to know, just take care of the Terroristan tumor and their supporting locals will automatically lose their moral support. KSA banned Tablighi Jamaat. Why can't India?
Tablighi Jamaat, I have seen it, I have written about it, not now when nobody knew about it. In 2018, my book mentions page 163 about the activities of Tablighi Jamaat. If you go back still in years, in 2003, my friend Ellen Rao, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, had caught a Pakistani woman bringing in a Tablighi Jamaat volunteer, a woman, collecting 4 lakh rupees from Pakistan High Commission and coming out of that when she was apprehended. The Markaz, the Ijtema is the biggest fraud. Cox Bazar, Ijtema. So we should have banned it, not now, we should have banned it in 2019 itself. But they came, they spread it, they did all sorts of things. Even now, again, it's a case of police corruption. What was the station of? I think we have spoken about it. What was the station of the officer of Nizamuddin station doing when this was coming up? What stopped him from demolishing it? Now this is the time of demolition. The flavor of the season is bulldozers. The bulldozers can now, even now, go to Tabligh Jamaat's Markaz headquarters and demolish it, ban the organization, and do away with it. There's very
Well, they
much.
may have to do that in elections. Let's see.
Election, let me tell Mr. Modi, please go and count your constituency. You got 8 Muslim votes from Banaras in your parliamentary constituency. See, they are not, and 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙬 has also happened. Let us see how many they give. 𝙒𝙧𝙤𝙬, of course, the BJP had no role in it. 5 women had gone in for a petition and they got the relief. So fair enough. But now I'm more bothered about the security of the 5 women than anything else. So that is the basic. Because I face such situations, so that is the reason I'm more bothered about the security of it. So let us be very clear about it. They are not going to vote for it. And I do not know how this has happened, but the question is, what is the role of UPSC lobby? See, the lobby about the IAS and the IPS, they are very clannish. They will never let down their own officers, colleagues. That is a very clear cut. So that is the reason you hardly find officers, even the present municipal commissioner who is supposed to have been charged into the yesterday's fire in the Mundaka in India, in Delhi, he has been let off. He is not included, his name is not included in the charge sheet. No, although he was aware of the existence of the building. Illegal, unauthorized building in a Lal Dora area without no fire clearance. So they will never be charged. How many of the officers, excepting for a Prime Minister's initiative in the 2016-17, how many officers have been terminated for non-performance, for corruption, for waging a war against the state? None. A standing case of Mr. Harsh Mandar, an IAS officer, who openly does seditious things. But now it is not the season to talk about sedition, because Supreme Court has put a stay on all by virtue of the government submission that they are reviewing it. So otherwise Harsh Mandar has been openly doing it. So they will never, no IAS officer has spoken against Harsh Mandar from any side of the party, political debate. Nobody has spoken against it. So that is the clan, that is what they are taught in Lasna, I do not know.
Next question from Arjun. Sir, does reservation cause lack of cohesion in intel units since they have reservation, whereas army, everyone is same standard?
See, it cannot be established. It cannot be established whether it has an impact on the performance of that. And basically the DIB and the other joint directors of different domain area, they pick their best team. So what happens is certain persons who are not up to the mark are not given core duties. They are posted in different places as accounts division or budget division, or which are more codified in nature. Administration, HR, the Government of India administration is the easiest thing to do. The personal administration and bandobast, this general administration is easier because most of things are codified, including entitlement, how much office space the DIG will get, how much entitlement, all these things are codified. So that is easier to do, and that is there they are deployed and they are generally reveling in that place. It cannot be, but what you are saying is certainly cannot be established. Nobody will admit to it, because admission of that means admission of failure of intelligence. Are you getting the point? This is nobody will
Yes,
admit.
yes. So thank you very much, Mr. Mani. I'm sorry, viewers, we are not able to take all your questions. We need to keep it below 1 hour. And thank you very much, sir. And we'll be following this topic very closely, and we'll have
Sure.
Mr. Mani back in a couple of weeks when we have a better understanding of what follow-on steps are being done to increase the confidence of the Kashmiri Pandits. Thank you very much, sir. Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Thank you.